So it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're in Tempe, Arizona, which is part of the greater Phoenix area. And today we're visiting with Jack Davis in her Ethic Yard Farm garden. Her husband said when she first developed the garden, his request was that it not look like a farm. I think you achieved that.
Yes, it really helps actually, I think, for us to plant things in a polyculture way, and we actually ended up mixing up different species of plants and varieties, so it looks more like a exotic landscape. So you're using edible plants to create a very dynamic texture, color type of landscaping that's also edible.
Right, and that's the thing about being in the desert. It was 117 degrees at the peak yesterday, and she's got tomatoes and squash, and she's even got brassicas still growing. So it's kind of amazing how you must have created some kind of an environment that these plants don't perish in the heat.
Yeah, the high density planting and mixing the different plants together create different types of microclimate, and it seems like this experiment shows us if the plants are happy, they will just keep going without us doing too much to it. You know, some people would put up shade cloth, and it's also a very good way to extend the season. But for us who decide not to do more than just providing natural shade from trees, a lot of the vegetable plants are grown underneath fruit trees.
Was it a lot of experimentation to try to figure out what would grow underneath what?
Yes, a lot of experimentation goes into, we'll take the same type of plants, let's say we have a broccoli and we have 6 of them, 6 of the broccoli starts, and then we'll plant them in different corners of the yard under different kind of fruit trees and sun exposure, and then see which one does the best.
Well, tell us about the soil, because that's the most impressive and the most key thing in the success of this garden, because we are in the desert.
We're dealing with very alkaline clay soil that is actually quite hard for the plants to access the minerals. We're very mineral rich here, but because of the lack of organic matter, the plants have a hard time accessing those minerals. So we do a lot of wood chip, ground cover, and also a thick layer of compost, and those things breaking down by the microbes, and the microbes will release those nutrients to the plants.
The wood chips are key to keeping the water in, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Not evaporating.
Mm-hmm.
Jack and her husband Jeremy travel a lot for business and pleasure, and they were just gone for almost 5 weeks, and had no idea what you were going to find when you got back.
This is the longest we've been gone in one time. Only thing the garden gets is the water from our automatic water system.
Right, right. What is that big green thing I see hanging in
That
the
is
tree?
kabocha squash, the pumpkin.
Hanging in the tree?
Yes. We tend to let vining plants like the squash to kind of take over and do their own thing. We last year had watermelon hang off of our pomegranate tree.
But did you train that, or did it?
No, we just let the vine take hold of whatever they want.
Now, in my garden, everything is carefully tied. I have clips and clips and clips. No, here it's just free-flowing.
Exactly, and we like to let the plant find their happy spot. So we think they will reach for where they think they'll be the most happy, and that seems to work. It is kind of messy because you let it go wild, but you know, in the forest, you know, nobody's there tending it, and everything looks happy. So,
tell us about the pond. Now, what we're sitting in, this whole area was once a swimming pool, and they took out the swimming pool at great effort. They took out all the concrete and created a pond. What was your desire in having a pond?
I like the idea of a pond because we love the sound of the waterfall. It's one of the features we look for when we go hiking and stuff. So we want to bring more of the nature into our backyard. And the pond's function is specifically also for winter time because I grow a lot of tropical fruit trees. The pond water retains some of the warmth during the day, and in the night it will release some of that warmth back out.
It creates more moist, warm air for the tropical plants.
Wow. The rock features also do that. They absorb the radiant heat during the day, and then at night when it's cool, it will release some of that. So I can kind of let these tropical fruit trees go in the winter time without doing too much protection. And so we have lychee tree there.
You have banana trees over there.
Yeah, banana tree is in a happy spot there because that faces southeast. So that spot gets all day sun in the winter time. So.
You talked about zones. Were you talking about, what did you mean by you have different zones in the garden?
So in permaculture we have different zones for purpose. So we want the garden area that you visit the most frequent, where you grow things that you use every day, as in zone 1. Zone 0 is your house. So zone 1 is where you have the vegetable garden, like lettuces, tomatoes, things like that. And then zone 2 is some things that are slightly bigger. So you have fruit trees, you have fruit or berry bushes, things that are seasonal but still frequently harvested. And in zone 3 you will have the pond, things like the pond. Some people will keep chicken, and even larger fruit orchards.
Let me ask you, how did you get interested in creating this kind of a garden? Did you have some permaculture course or experience that just triggered your desire or passion?
It was kind of a happy accident. Before buying this house 4 years ago, we have no gardening experience whatsoever. I could pretty much
I think we
look...
got that in common. You're a late bloomer like me, but wow.
I mean, I will look at a plant and it will probably die right there. So,
Wow.
But when I was researching on gardening locally, because I thought, you know, there's got to be local organizations that knows what to do, and the organization I found was Valley Permaculture Alliance, and they teach courses about permaculture. They have online forums that, you know, people can go on and ask questions, and all the experts will, you know, contribute, help you out. You know? Yeah, and another good resource every state will have is their state university's agricultural program, and they have the extension office, and they most likely will have a demo garden, and they'll also have planting calendar for that region.
Right.
So those are great places to get started.
Her husband is, his hobby is welding and building things. So when she says, I need a structure, then he builds it.
Yeah,
a fence, a gate,
very lucky to
a
have
trellis.
a handyman.
What are your goals from here? What do you think?
I wish to get this garden really established and be self-sustainable in the sense of as little care from me as possible. I am kind of a lazy gardener, and so far I've been able to
This
achieve...
is good news for lazy gardeners.
achieve by just planting and wait for harvest. Even when the pests show up, I don't really manage them too much because I know the predators will show up. We don't spray any kind of pesticide. We don't even do organic pest control. Most will probably hand pick them. And then we also do not fertilize. We make an effort of not fertilizing. We just do chop and drop and compost, but in-place composting and wood chips. So it's a very low maintenance, low cost in the way of maintaining.
It's awesome.
And eventually, if we have a success and create kind of an educational piece for people to come and tour the garden, and show them, you know, you can do this in the desert.
When you don't have a monoculture, like for example, if all I wanted to do was just grow tomatoes, that's a monoculture. But when you start really mixing things up, you actually have to work less hard, right?
Yes.
And use less amendments and
exactly. And because you mix different
inputs.
Exactly. When you plant things like we have here, Egyptian spinach, basil, apple tree, West End Malabar spinach, strawberry, fig, tomato, all in this 3x3 space, and they all have different nutrient needs.
Right,
So
I
they're
mean-
not robbing from each other things they need. They all have different needs.
You know, somebody told me when I first started gardening, oh, a fig is going to turn into a really big tree. You got to plan for that. She's got a fig growing at the bottom of this clump of 10 other
tiny
things.
one.
And it's like, okay. How did you come up with Epic Yard Farm as your name?
We started building a gate on the side of our front yard, and we put our motto on there called "Be Epic, Make It Happen." And when we visited Urban Farm, it's started by our very own permaculture guru here in the valley called Greg Peterson, and he was telling us, you know, if you share your produce with your neighbors, or if you are producing enough to share with people, maybe it's time to give your garden a name. Susan Velarde, who runs Velarde Gardens, she grows organic plant starts that do well here in the valley. This year we have the backyard and the kitchen garden to grow, so we just use those plants as experimental starter plants. This is a red lady papaya. It's a very popular variety in Taiwan, where I'm from. And so we just planted this about 3 months ago. And then this one is a Tainon number 2, also a Taiwanese papaya. This is called Big Jim Low Crop, that's the variety. And underneath it we grow, this is called Okinawan spinach. And it's a succulent leaf that we eat a lot in Taiwan. It's crunchy, it's very nutritious.
So we're having an omelet with homegrown veggies of
Bell pepper, moringa flowers, moringa leaves, moringa seed, pot, basil, Egyptian spinach, and zucchini, all grown here.
Let's do this thing.
Which one should I look at?
Wow. Well, if you look at the camera, look at this one.
Okay.
And otherwise, you can just look at me and just chat.
Cool. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. You're in good hands.